Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. How's everybody doing out there?
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Saturday.
All right. Well, I think we are the second to the last Saturday of the month of August. It's rolling right along. Also, a shout out to some August birthdays here. We've got Sharon Webb from Texas, and we've got Kathy Munoz here in Michigan. That I think her birthday's on Monday. So anybody else that has any August birthdays that we may have missed, um, shout out, happy birthday to you. But certainly to Sharon and Kathy, that's awesome. So Voices of Health Point, we meet virtually every Saturday live from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And those of you that care to join are welcome to join live. Those that aren't or can't, this does get uploaded onto the YouTube channel called Voices of Health Point. So you can catch over 100 episodes on there. And so we start off with some known docket items, and then we roll into just a real fun roundtable, often tangential, rabbit hole, going deep on topics on all things Health Point. And this morning, I'm going to have a docket item that, we've all seen the clickbait headlines that say that, supplementation only gives you expensive urine, right? So we're going to dig into the science behind the clickbait and how to do, studies that are not flawed, or you'll understand more as I unpack that. We've got David, who has promised us like 4.5 hour docket item is what I understand from David. No, in all seriousness, he had a docket item last week that the rest of us kind of got gabby, I think, and but he said that's fine. He didn't have time last week, but he's got some time this week we'll have some time this week to have story time, and the title is To the Top. Looking forward to that. And then we've got Laurel that is just continually having reasons to to celebrate. We've gained so much from Laurel and her journey, through the inevitable ups and downs and twists and turns that come as you're moving through 6-week cycles of Health Point. And we're looking forward to some more reasons to celebrate, and also for her to share a quote. So let's go ahead and get rolling with kicking things off with my docket item. And let me grab that here. Okay, so again, this is titled, let me grab it here. Give me one moment. Why expensive urine headlines miss the mark, the role of study design in supplements. Every few years, a major journal runs a headline. Vitamins don't do anything. They just make expensive urine. It's provocative. It grabs attention, and it leaves millions of people wondering if taking supplements is a waste of money. But as Dr. Rhonda Patrick and Dr. Mark Hyman explained, the problem isn't the nutrients, it's how the studies are designed. Drug trials are the gold standard in medicine, but they start with everyone at zero. Nobody has the drug in their system. You give one group the drug, another group a placebo, and watch for differences. Clean, simple, controlled. Micronutrients don't work that way. Everyone walks into a trial with different baseline levels. One person might already have adequate vitamin D. Another may be severely deficient. You give both of them a dosage of 400 IU, the tiny amount often used in these studies, and the first person sees no effect because they're already sufficient, while the second one sees no effect because the dose is far too low to make a difference. But the trial concludes no benefit. This is the core flaw. We treat vitamins as if they were drugs, ignoring the fact that they are required nutrients with vastly different needs across the population. If you don't control for baseline nutrient status, dosage, or genetic variability in metabolism, the results will be misleading. As Dr. Hyman put it simply, if you don't have a headache, aspirin doesn't do anything. If your levels are already great, adding more won't change your health. And the same is true for nutrients. Another flaw is that nutrients rarely work alone. They function in teams. The antioxidant system, for example, requires a network of vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, zinc, and plant compounds working together. Giving a single isolated nutrient like beta carotene to smokers and expecting it to single-handedly offset enormous oxidative stress is unrealistic. In fact, it can sometimes worsen outcomes if the balance is wrong. On top of that, dosages in these trials are often woefully inadequate. A 400 IU vitamin D supplement will barely move the needle for someone who is deficient. Yet it's enough for researchers to say, we tested vitamin D and it didn't work. The result is a long trail of meta-analysis and headlines declaring that vitamins are useless, when in fact, what's really being tested is poor study design. Step back from the flawed trials and a very different picture emerges. Across the US population, 70% of Americans have vitamin D levels below the sufficiency threshold of 30 nanograms per milliliter. And if you raise the bar to the more optimal 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter range, the number climbs to 80 to 90% of Americans. 90% of Americans fall short on omega-3 fatty acids. The average omega-3 index is just 5%, while 8% or higher is associated with 5 extra years of life expectancy. 50% of Americans don't get enough magnesium, and that's a mineral required for over 300 enzymatic reactions from making energy to actually repairing your DNA. 96% of Americans fail to meet adequate intake for potassium, and that's essentially the entire population of the United States. Even basics like vitamin C and vitamin E are lacking. About 10% show outright vitamin C deficiency, and many more live in the gray zone of insufficiency. These aren't exotic trace elements. They are the spark plugs that keep the 37 billion trillion chemical reactions in your body every second firing correctly. Classical deficiencies are rare today because foods are fortified to prevent rickets, scurvy, and pellagra. But insufficiency is everywhere. Deficiency means your vitamin D is so low that your bones soften. Insufficiency means you may not notice an immediate disease, but your immune system is weaker, your risk of cancer and osteoporosis is higher, and your DNA repair is impaired. Bruce Ames, the legendary biochemist, described this with the triage theory. When nutrients are scarce, the body prioritizes immediate survival functions like clotting blood or making ATP at the expense of long-term protection. The short term looks fine, but the long-term cost is accelerated aging, inflammation, and chronic disease. When trials are designed more intelligently, the results look very different. Take, for example, the Cosmos trial. The Cosmos trial was launched in 2014. It was led by Harvard Medical School and Brigham and Women's Hospital. It had 21,000 older adult participants, and it was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled 2x2 factorial trial. In this, these older adults who took a daily multivitamin for 2 years showed measurable improvements in memory and cognitive function. The benefit was so profound and pronounced, it was equivalent to reversing 2 years of brain aging. Other high-quality studies link adequate omega-3 intake with reduced cardiovascular risk, lower inflammation, and improved life expectancy. Vitamin D supplementation is consistently associated with lower rates of dementia, better bone health, and a stronger immunity when proper doses are used. Patrick and Hyman, that's Dr. Rhonda Patrick and Dr. Mark Hyman, advocate a pragmatic, insurance-like approach rather than waiting for the perfect study. First, supplement with vitamin D, around 4,000 IU per day for most adults, not 400. Take 1 to 2 grams of omega-3s and make sure it includes the EPA and DHA. Use a high-quality multivitamin to cover broad gaps. Can anybody say double X? Add magnesium and make it in a bioavailable form. These are affordable, safe, and targeted towards the very nutrients we know are insufficient in the vast majority of the population. This message resonates with the philosophy of Health Point. It's not called Diet Point because the program isn't just about losing weight. The goal is to optimize your total health picture, which is metabolic health, energy, and long-term vitality, while also helping you reduce unhealthy weight. Weight loss is the byproduct of building health from the inside out. Both Patrick and Hyman stress that we should strive to get as many nutrients as possible from whole, nutrient-dense foods, but they also emphasize the reality. Modern farming practices and food patterns make it very difficult to meet optimal nutrient needs through diet alone. Supplementation is a practical necessity. And when it comes to supplementation, quality matters. Brands like Nutrilite, the #1 selling nutritional supplement line in the world, provides a trusted foundation. With plant-based farm-to-supplement sourcing, Nutrilite stands as an example of how supplementation can close the gap between insufficiency and optimal health. The debate isn't whether nutrients matter. They are literally the building blocks of life. The debate is whether we can keep pretending that studies designed like drug trials can tell us the truth about them. Most people are not deficient in the classical sense, but most people are insufficient, and the cost of that shows up slowly in rising rates of diabetes, dementia, osteoporosis, and cancer. Supplements aren't a magic pill, but neither are they expensive urine. Used wisely, they are a simple, affordable tool to help with widespread insufficiencies that can add years of healthy life. Okay, guys, that's my segment on going beyond, as I call it, the clickbait headlines. We've all seen these clickbait headlines in different senses. This one, the whole expensive urine headline seems to be a fan favorite amongst people that want to want people to click on their blog post or their Facebook or Instagram thing. But yeah, really interesting when you actually dig into the study design and the science behind it and differentiate between drug trials and nutrient trials. All right, guys. There's any commentary, questions?
Hello, Eric.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Is that Hank?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Hank. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you. After a whole week of celebrating my 92nd birthday, I'm still kicking. And I'll tell
I
you,
love it.
that study, whoever made it was totally flawed because here I am. I just had my lab work done. I'll be going to see the doctor on Monday. And he's the one that told me I got to find another doctor after he's gone. And he's only in his late 40s. So, you know, he always said, your numbers are always better than mine. I said, I know. I have a reason because I take good supplementation. And, they don't understand that because a lot of the supplements in the stores are made by the same companies or make the pharmaceuticals. Okay, if you look at the brands, you search them out. So they're using chemicals for a lot of them, and people buy that stuff not really realizing what they're doing. So all we can say is, hooray for Nutrilite, right?
Absolutely.
So want
I'd
to
like
share
to.
that with you.
I just love that, Hank. That's no better explanation of things than someone who just has celebrated their 92nd birthday and has a doctor that is in their 40s or so that is fearful that they're going to retire and you're going to have to get a different doctor because
Right.
that's awesome. That is
Because
so cool.
I don't take any meds, neither does Carol. Neither one of us are on any meds whatsoever. So
Wow,
just want to share that with you.
that is so awesome. Carol, you were saying something as well, I think.
I just wanted to tag team on Hank because the supplementation thing, it's important that you're taking the Neutralite supplementation because of the extreme measures that it goes through. And I have a personal example. Of course, I take all Neutralite, but for some reason, I think because I sweat a lot, I'm small, lots of different things, my electrolytes will sometimes get out of whack. And so I started taking magnesium. And of course, we didn't have a magnesium, we had the Cal Mag, but that wasn't enough for what I needed. And so I went to a corner health food store and I bought a magnesium, and it really didn't do anything. So when our magnesium came, and I was so excited about it, and Hank told me take 2 at night. And I will tell you that I've had 0 leg cramps since I've taken our magnesium. And it was not the case taking the one at the health food store. So I was taking the magnesium, but I wasn't taking our magnesium because we didn't have it yet. So it goes to show you the absorbability or absorption rate of our supplements versus things that you buy in the health food store. The other thing that I read recently was your body does not know. In fact, I think it was Frank Tennant on the it's all in the soil. I don't think that's the exact name of it. Anyway, and he talks about the importance of what's in your soil, what's in your supplements, what's guaranteed, what's NSF, all of that, because he said your body, if it's a scientific lab produced vitamin, your body doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't know what to do with foreign matter, where ours is food and food in balance with science. And so it knows what to do with it. And that was a great example. And the reason it's so fresh in my mind is that last night, I got a little off kilter. We go out to dinner, and normally I take all my supplements just before I leave so that they're done. And I brought them with me. And then we were having so much fun with our friends that I forgot to take them. So I came home and I took my supplements, but the 2 magnesium that I usually take before I go to bed, I forgot. I couldn't find them anywhere, and I thought, well, I must have taken them. So all of a sudden, in night, I get the leg cramps, and I can't figure out why I'm getting the leg cramps. Well, sure enough, this morning I saw in one of my little plastic containers there was the 2 magnesium, and I accidentally stuck them in the drawer, so I did not take them. And what a difference. And so we always say, if you're on double X or you have a client on double X, let them get off of it for a few days and find out how they feel. That's the true test of how well they're working for you, not while you're taking them, but when you get off of them. And that was a true test for me one night. And so you better believe that that's locked in my brain now. And those 2 little tablets are going to be right by a cup of tea that I take, that I drink at night. And I'm not going to forget them again because it was painful. So I just wanted to tag team on Hank on that.
Hey, Carol, it's
Yeah.
it's called It's the Source That Matters, and it's
Yes.
orange dot 15.
Thank you. It's
So
one of my,
it's early on. It's early on in the cohort, so it's day 10. So orange dot 15. So anybody can check that out. That's the one. I recognize it too because I just heard it the other day, and I'm like, okay, wait, let me look for it. So that's what it is. Orange dot 15, guys. You can check it out.
Hey,
Thank
Eric,
you,
can
Kathy.
I jump in a second?
Yes, for sure. That's Steve, right?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah.
I wanted to, since you were hitting on nutrition, which is fabulous, a couple things. That study they did with the beta carotene and the smokers, they were using a synthetic beta carotene on that, which different animal than natural. But on omegas, this was interesting because my own doctor. I noticed, it seemed to notice that he thought my blood pressure was starting to creep up a little bit. And so we gave it a few months, went back, and yeah, he said, it's a little high. Let's put you on a blood pressure med. I said, no way. And I said, I take a very, very high quality omega-3. Well, he says they haven't proven that omegas do anything for blood pressure. And I said, all right. I said, let's give it a few more months. So I did my homework in between those times. And I found from the National Institute of Health, they looked at 70 different studies where the study participants had taken 2 to 3 grams of omegas every day. And in every single study, the blood pressure of those participants had dropped. So when I went back in, I told him that. I said, you've got the National Institute of Health. They looked at 70 different studies. Every single participant's blood pressure dropped when they were taking between 2 to 3 grams of a high quality omega every day. And the amazing thing is, docs in this area, in the Ann Arbor area, none. The ones I've talked with and mentioned NSF, no clue, not an idea what the heck they are. Oh yeah, that's the National Science Foundation. I said, no, National Sanitation Foundation, and clueless of a fabulous third-party testing agency right here in town. But yeah, the proof was there from the National Institute of Health. All 70 studies, 2 to 3 grams. Now, for me, what I'm doing, I'm taking 5 advanced omegas a day, and that's almost 3 grams. That's 2 3/4 grams. But and I've been charting my my blood pressure, and it has dropped, and pretty much down 124, 126 over anywhere from 64 to 72, 74 in that range. But it's variable. When you go into the doctor, depending how soon do they come in to take your blood pressure, what was going on before you got there? Did you have a hectic drive? You've got a lot of things on your mind, variables. And he admitted, well, yeah, he says that can change in a heartbeat, no pun intended. But yeah, we have a very, very excellent omega. And I guess what I'm saying is, guys, do your homework on your nutrition. Don't let any doc poo-poo what we take and what it will do if you know what the heck you're talking about. And we've got the credentials on those nutritionists to back it up. So just a little side note. So carry on. Thank you.
Yeah. No,
Well, I'd like to add to that, because I went to my annual physical 2 last week, and my doctor told me I shouldn't be taking so much calcium because studies show that you need to get your calcium from food groups, not just dairy, but broccoli, blah, 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 she mentioned. And I said, well, wouldn't it matter what kind of calcium, blah, blah, blah. The point being, as we discussed, she too, and we're right here in Saline near Ann Arbor, she too did not know anything about NSF. I said, NSF, they started with U of M. They're right there on Dixboro Road. You're not familiar with NSF? And no. And she said, and we can't really talk nutrition because in our appointments, we just don't have time. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking about getting a different doctor. I want a doctor that really values nutrition. And so that was my thought too. NSF, you're kidding. Everybody should know about that when they're in the medical field, but not true.
right. It's startling because in those examples that you guys are giving, again, this is like in your backyard, basically, like physically right there in the Ann Arbor area. Amazing.
No,
For those,
no kidding.
yeah. No, it's such great stuff. And kind of like what we touched on a bit last week, I think at the conclusion of last week, I'm finding opportunities with the right kind of doctors. Again, not all of them are going, but some of them are really valuing partnering with someone that can coach clients, because they don't have time generally. Some do, but or some kind of structure their practice so that they do. But no, in fact, in the research that I was doing for this morning's piece, Dr. Hyman's daughter, who is also going into the medical field, he said that he just made a quick note that she's had 0 nutrition courses so far in her medical studies, 0. So yeah, what Pam, you and Steve and the rest of us experience is pretty commonplace, where what they are trained on generally is, something that they can do in whatever the average time is. I don't know if it's 4.5 minutes or 7 minutes, but it's something pretty brief. And it's usually a quick prescription pad or something like that, and out the door. So great stuff. And Steve, where you commented on the beta carotene, yeah, great point on that. And then, wow, what profound evidence on the omega study. And so, yeah, guys, we are positioned very, very well. So great stuff. Thank you very much.
Eric, this is Laurel. I just want to add, Al went to his doctor for physical. I don't know what's with these physicals, everybody. We all go to him and find out how dumb the doctors need to be, but about nutrition. But he went there and the doctor reviewed all this stuff and he said, all these supplements you're taking they won't, except for, I don't know, whatever 2 he mentioned, they're not going to help you live longer. And Al said, okay, and your point is, he says, well, you're taking these supplements and you're not going to extend your life. He goes, look, when my time's up, my time's up. I just want to live really well until that time. And the doctor, he said the doctor kind of looked at him like that never occurred to him. So, they're dealing with thickness. They're not dealing with wellness, and that's part of the system. But anyway, I just, not to disparage on doctors, there's some wonderful ones out there, but Al just shook his head and said, why am I, same thing, Pam, why am I going to this guy? So anyway, that's all.
Great stuff. And yeah,
I'll jump in the same tune. So I argue with my doctor all the time, and I was on a cholesterol medication. I've been on several cholesterol medications. All of them made me extremely dark over time. And I eventually told him I didn't want to take them anymore. And we argued a bit or discussed it back and forth. And I just told him I'd rather be happy for the next 5 years than be depressed for the next 30.
Talking about that quality of life. Yeah. Great point. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna chime in too. This is Kathy.
Yeah.
So we all know about my wonderful root canal that I had, right? Well, after I had that root canal, my bottom lip, like where the tooth kind of was, because it really swelled up, was numb for like 2 weeks after the root canal. And like I took all my antibiotics, and she had told me to take ibuprofen because that would help with the swelling. And the swelling went down pretty quickly, but the numbness was there, and it was driving me crazy. And so I went back to see the endodontist, and I told her, I said, look, I'm still numb. I'm numb and it's swollen over here. Feel it. And she's like, you're not swollen. It's just how you feel the numbness. And I'm like, okay, well, what can we do? So she says, well, I got a medicine for you. She's like, take it at night. It's going to make you tired. And take 1 at night for 10 days. And then take 2 at night for 10 days. And then after that, if it's still there, come back and see me. You might need to go see a neurologist or a neuromaxillofacial something or other, right? And I'm like, neurologist? I'm like, okay, whatever. So I got home, got the prescription. It was late Friday night. I got it, and I don't like to take meds. I'm not on anything. And so I start reading this thing. And the first line says, things to expect while taking an antidepressant. And I'm like, what? I'm like, hello, I am far from depressed. So I yelled out to Dave, because I was sitting at the kitchen table reading it, and I said, there is no way I am taking this antidepressant. So I'm like, why? What? So I'm reading, well, it's used to treat this major disorder and this disorder. And then it gets down and it says fibromyalgia. And I'm like, okay, well, I've seen commercials. I think that has something to do with nerves. So I'm like, all right, maybe that's why she prescribed this. But I was like, I looked at Dave and I said, I'm not taking this. Because then I read the laundry list of all the side effects. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'll just have a numb lip. Thank you. So that was Friday night. So I counseled with Carol on Saturday, and I was really kind of bummed about it. I didn't know what to do because it was really annoying. So then she said, well, B12 really helps with nerves. So I started taking our B complex because I had it, because my mom takes it, and I had a bottle for her, but she still had some. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna order you another one because I'm taking this. And then, and I drink in excess every day for work with my protein pod, but like on the weekends, I usually don't. So she's like, drink in excess every day too. So that was like about a month ago. The numbing is almost gone. So I called the the endodontist office on Monday, and I told the receptionist, I said, I just want to let you know, I said, I appreciate everything she's been doing, but I respectfully decline. I am not taking this medication. It is an antidepressant. I am far from a depressed person. I'm like, so I'm not taking this. I'm like, so I just want you to let her know, I'm like, she said it could clear up on its own in time. I'm like, I'm going to go with the time route. I'm like, plus I said, I have some really good, nutritional supplements, and I was told vitamin B is very good for nerves, so I'm going to do that. And she's like, oh, okay. So there's a case. Hello. Most of you know me. I'm far from depressed. There was no way I was putting an antidepressant in my mouth, in my body, to get rid of numbing my lip. I'm like, my lip will be numb the rest of my life if it doesn't clear on its own, because I'm not taking that. So just a little case.
Hey, Eric, can I give a little side note on the bees?
Yes.
One of the
Sure.
times I was out at NSF, and I was talking with Dr. Lisa Bestervelt, their head toxicologist at the time. We were talking about nutrition in general, and we got on about, somehow we got onto B complexes. And she said, one thing that people just don't realize, she said, in a B complex, it's very, very important that everything works in unison, that is synergistic. She said, if a nutrition, a B complex nutrition, doesn't have the right ratio for B1, 2, 3, 6, 12, she said the ones that deal with the nervous system, if those are not in the correct proportion and the right ratio to each other, she said over a period of time, that starts causing degeneration of brain neurons, and that person is setting themselves up for neurological problems. So having NSF certified on our our Bs, that's huge, because a lot of companies might, say, well, we've got more of this and that than you guys do. Well, if they aren't in the right ratio, that's a problem waiting to happen. So just a little note from NSF.
Wow. That's great insight. I don't know about everybody else, but yeah, that's new learning to me. It's one of the reasons I just love hanging with this community and learning from one another. That I know the vitamin Bs are extraordinary. And Steve, that's great insight. And boy, you've got the hotline to the NSF. It sounds like that is awesome that you're getting these additional insights. So cool, so great.
I agree.
So,
I love
and
our community because of the background and the association that all of you have that I am not personally privy to. And one of the things that I remembered years ago was on vitamin C. And typically, if you take a vitamin C from a health food store or whatever, it's going to be vitamin C, period, from ascorbic acid. If you look at our vitamin C, it's acerola cherry, which, by the way, we control and grow for our own use 90% of the world's population of acerola cherry. And they are on, I believe, our Brazilian farms. But anyway, when you look at our vitamin C, you're going to notice that there's other ingredients in there, other natural ingredients, because vitamin C in an orange or a cherry or whatever is not all by itself. It's got all kinds of other phytonutrients, phytofactors, all minerals, all those types of things that come from the soil, that come from just the natural production. All of those are also with vitamin C, and we used to call those associated food factors. And sometimes I think we don't talk enough about that. But if you'll notice, in almost every Nutrilite supplement, and Steve hit on it perfectly, you're going to get a balance of a number of things together. And the key word in Health Point is balance, and the key word in Nutrilite is balance. So when Nutrilite produces something, it doesn't produce just one thing. It doesn't just say B12 or B6 or vitamin C. It's got these other things with it. It might have selenium with it. It might have parsley with it. It might have other things with it, other natural things. And that's what makes Nutrilite so, the absorption rate so great and the effect so great, because like when God made an orange, he didn't just make vitamin C in that orange. He put a whole bunch of other stuff in there, and that's the way we want to ingest it in our body to get its full value. And Nutrilite recognizes that and does that in every one of their supplements. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront, Steve. That was very important.
Eric.
You're welcome.
Yes. Hey,
Yeah.
Sharon. Hey, birthday girl.
I'd just like to say, we do have access. We've got so many doctors in the business who are nutrition conscious. And I remember Dr. Andrea Miller, always for neuropathy, she gave her patients vitamin B, huge doses of vitamin B, and also omegas. And because that's good for the nerves. But, we have people like Dr. Miller, we have Dr. Stu Min, we have Dr. Dunham. We just have access to so many medical doctors who really are interested also in health. And so it never hurts to kind of get a second opinion on something from somebody else that you trust,
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Sharon. And you mentioned about Dr. Andrea Miller, and Kathy, since you're quick on the orange dots, you might be able to know which one this is. But guys, the interview style audio that Sharon Webb, who you're listening to right here, she is the one that is in a conversation with Dr. Andrea Miller. I want to say the title of it is called The Health Point Advantage. Is that the title of that orange dot? I think it is. And wow, that is one of my favorite audios out of 89 audios that are in there, is Sharon Webb having a discussion with Dr. Andrea Miller on the health point advantage, kind of comparing, contrasting, kind of going into the things that Sharon's talking about, but also in terms of the Health Point program, in comparing it to other programs that are out there, other methodologies. And just also because she's a doctor, she pulls a lot of labs, and boy, she gets into a lot of stuff that we've been talking about leading up to this moment in today's episode, where we're talking about these different numbers and how, gosh, I could cite so many of them, but Sharon, I just, I think all of us on here are grateful to you to put that talk together, because it is an incredible resource in our global app, in our Health Point app.
Yes.
It's one of the most extraordinary audios in that whole suite of 89 audios.
Orange dot 10.
Yeah.
Orange Dot 10. I knew it was
Orange-
also early on. Did you say the earlier one was Orange Dot 15?
Yep,
Kathy?
orange dot. Yep, they're five dots apart.
Yeah.
Start with
Yeah.
Andrea Miller and then end with oh my gosh, I just realized Frank Tennant. Orange 10 and 15.
Years and
Oh.
years and years ago, when CDs were in style, we had the CD by Dr. Andrea Miller, and I found that CD before we got our hands on the global app, and I pulled out an old DVD player I had and listened to it, and I thought, oh, this is so magnificent. I remembered when I loved it when she came out with it, and then it disappeared. And when I saw that on the HealthPoint app, I thought, oh boy, for those of you that are new on this, and for those of you that maybe haven't really dove in crazily into that app, it is so good. And yes, Dr. Andrea Miller is at the head of that. That's the most perfect explanation of HealthPoint I've ever heard. Point to the point from a doctor who runs a heart clinic, I guess I would call it. I don't know, maybe Sharon, that's the wrong term for it. A massive, wonderful, wonderful resource.
Yeah, we have lots of people that that we can check with if we ever have a medical question that we're a little maybe suspicious of, or we're just not sure we want to go that direction. There's just a lot of people around who believe in nutrition as much as we do, that we can run something by. You could always, like, I've got doctors I can call and say, okay, I'm going to run this by you. But you have access to that too through some upline. So we just need to also take advantage of that. And I know they're not giving out medical advice, but they're giving out, if you're facing this might help. Just like we were saying a while ago with the vitamin B's being able to help with nerves. Obviously, yes. So thank you. And thanks to Dr. Miller also.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you really hit on such a key thing here, Sharon. Well, so many key things, but one of the things that is this community, the resources within this community. A lot of people that are, just listening to this on YouTube, or even that are plugged in here this morning, might not have a perspective on this. HealthPoint is part of a global program. And, I think, when you mentioned Dr. Stu Men, we have 3 optional conferences a year, one of which our next one is going to be coming up in October, early October, which sounds like a long ways away, but hey, we're wrapping up August here. I remember I think it was the last conference, we're there for the weekend, and Emily and I, usually go to hit the gym in the morning, before we kind of go into our programs. And who's on the treadmill next to me but Dr. Stu Men, right? And you get to bump into and rub shoulders with some of these leading figures in this community. And we've got access to not just a program, not just a methodology, but a community. And yeah, for those that have never been to a Network 21 conference, maybe check with your coach, check with who you're working with, and ask about the one that's coming up in October. It's a blast. We have a great time, but man, are you going to learn a lot. It's that first weekend in October. I think it's the 3rd through the 5th or something like that. Inexpensive, you get yourself there. The block prices on hotels are incredible. I never thought that much of them until I went to a different conference Emily and I did that was down in Florida. I was like, good grief, look at the price of this hotel that we've got to pay. It was a nice hotel, but nothing nicer than the beautiful Lowe's hotel that we stay in Uptown there in Atlanta. And I was like, geez, it made me really respect what the team at Network 21 does in terms of getting block pricing for hotels. So that price is really low. It's a great time to hang out, great time to learn, and just kind of rub shoulders with people. And I guess while I'm at it, before I wrap on this, is to give a shout out on a virtual conference or virtual session that's coming up on September 6th, Saturday, September 6th in the afternoon. That again, you can check with your coach and get a link that they can share with you to tap into that live event. Again, I think this one that's coming up is going to be largely health point focused. There's broader business education that's often covered in the Saturday connects, as we call them, or BDSs, business development seminars. But this is an opportunity just to, from the comfort of your home, or go to your coach's home if they're having any kind of a get together or potluck. Or I know sometimes there's a get together afterwards, on Zoom, where everybody attends that, little connect session, and then afterwards, hop immediately on for maybe 30 minutes of discussion after the conference. So I just, appreciate Sharon, we're talking through these people that you're talking about, and you and Jerry and Hank and Carol and all these, iconic figures in this space. And we get to, literally be in the same physical space as you guys, a number of times per year if we choose to. So I just wanted to give a shout out and kind of a promotion of those events coming up. And David, we are ready for your hour and a half story that you promised us, an hour and a half of story time. But seriously, David, if you're available, I'd love to hear To the Top.
Well, again, it's hard to follow all the smart people. Now you got the special ed specialist with 2 and 3 year olds, where if you're going to do anything, it's got to be fun. And so, I'm so To the Top. And so my first story that I want to share with, and so this is all going to come together in about 3 minutes, as a story about my oldest daughter. And when my oldest daughter loved swimming and was into swimming, and in 8th grade, she went to her very first swim meet competition in Kalamazoo. We're in Michigan. I'm downriver Michigan. And she took last place, like 40th. And she comes out, and I'm looking at that, and I'm going, oh, so sad. She comes out of the water with this smile and look of joy on her face after her very first swim meet or swim race, and looks at me and just says, Dad, I love it. And I'm going, oh. And so my heart sank, and so kind of what do you do? And so I'll finish that in a little bit. So I'll come back to that story. But the real reason I wanted to talk last week was I wanted to publicly congratulate Debbie Llewellyn, as Carol often likes to hold those 5-pound segments of fat. She's lost another 5 pounds and has now lost a total of 25 pounds. And so I'm just extremely proud of her. The very first cycle we were bumpy, but by the second cycle, she's got this down, extremely disciplined, understands how to handle the program when she's going to the Cheesecake Factory, or if she's going to watch a movie, or if she goes away for a week for a conference in some other city. And so she just really has it down and continues to do extremely well. And so I'm just extremely proud of her. So that's story number 3. As I just want to remind people of Chris's story, my wife, who's over the years has lost 100 pounds and kept it off. And so, but when she started the journey, she started the journey with no belief, because she'd failed every time that she'd done anything in relationship to weight loss. And so we started that journey together. I was coaching her on the Health Point program. And so we tell everybody, yeah, she lost 40 pounds a year for the first 2 years. And everybody goes, woohoo. Okay, that's 3 pounds a month. It's not a lot. And so but it was the every month, the every day, following the program. And over the time, she made it to the top. Which brings me to the rest of this story having to do with the swimming. is in swimming, you need to compete against yourself. And so once Carrie said that she loved this and wanted to do this, again, probably because of the Network 21 culture, you know, we went to work. She went to the summer camps at U of M. And by, you know, 3 years later, as a junior, she was all league in the whole downriver community.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
And so my
Woohoo.
message here is to remember this is not a race with other people. This is the only competition we have is with ourselves. And that if you continue the daily disciplines of Health Point, I know everybody's body is different, but if you can do it, those daily disciplines every day, you will have a downward trajectory over time. And so, and what's important in the Health Point program is the trajectory, not the dailies up and downs. So my word is to stay the course, and we will see you at the top of your weight loss victory.
Oh, wow.
Woohoo.
Wow, my
Great
goodness.
job.
Great job.
Great job. Love it. Wonderful stories. So fantastic. And across the board. So great. So great. So many things. Debbie Llewellyn, yeah, we've been hearing from you. I think we heard a bit last week. You contributed. Congratulations on your continued success. David, thanks for good that and other stories here. Wonderful. Love it.
Actually,
Good.
Debbie is going to be one of our spotlight people on Monday night.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
I think I love stories like Debbie's because elements happen in your life. She's getting ready to go in for surgery. I'm not going to steal her story, but she's still focused on what she's doing and where she's going, and you know, whether it be a trip or a surgery. This is life that all people deal with, and the difference is how you react to it. You know, if who's going to what dog are you feeding? The red or the white dog, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That reference to another Orange Dot audio that's in our global app there.
Glenda Leonard.
Yeah. Glenda Leonard's classic story on the two dogs.
Yep,
Which dog is winning? The one that I feed.
that's
Yeah.
right.
You feeding the negatives or you feeding the positives? Are you doing like David was talking about, you know, the daily disciplines? Or if so, the good dog is winning. The good dog will win in Health Point, in weight loss. There's a little rudimentary image that I drew a long time ago, and I have it saved on a screenshot, and I share it with a client, almost every client, a number of times, and it just shows where like David was talking about, the weight loss, it doesn't go in a straight line. It's not this straight line on a graph that just kind of drops down and to the right in this perfect straight line. It's in the drawing that it's just a pencil drawing. It shows a stair step, and that's often how it works with the weight loss. Is you might have, you know, a couple of pounds drop, 2-3 pounds drop, and then maybe and then it's that level part of that, and you're like, oh, I'm frustrated. And because the plot point, you know, when they check in with their www check-in, it's the same. And there's another line on that graph. And so the one line is a stair step downward trajectory, but the other is a level blue line. And that level blue line represents effort and the process, which if that line stays level, meaning every day you follow the process, not to perfection, but you follow the process, then if that line stays level, the other line will continue to drop, often in a stair-step manner. But sometimes that image is a cautionary tale, because particularly if somebody's new and they haven't gained the confidence that comes when they get results, when they follow the process, sometimes, and we're all like this, for those that think that we are perfect in Health Point, just put it in a different area of your life where you're not so perfect and somebody's encouraging you to follow a process. And because the same is true that if we react to the daily plot point, if somebody's like, oh, I didn't drop anything, oh, I'm so frustrated, then if they let that creep into their thinking, then that can do what? That can start affecting their process. Why should I get these steps in today? Why should I take my supplementation today? Why should I hydrate? I mean, after all, I'm the second or third day in a row and I haven't lost any weight. So they start negotiating the process and they start, eating a little different. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if you change that process, if that blue line doesn't stay level, the results will change. So it's a little graph, little silly drawing that I do where keep that blue line steady. Just let me, I often tell people, let me worry for you. Just don't worry about your daily results. If there's something, and I use the term worry because that's what often people are like, oh, I'm worried. I'm never worried about anything about what, as it results. I know where we're going with this. And, but I guess what I'm saying is like, let me kind of be the judge of whether you should have any concerns here or any quote unquote worry, because I don't react to these daily plot points of what it says when you step on the scale, because that result will come, but you got to keep that blue line steady. You got to keep that blue line day after day after day. Just build that atomic habit of following the process. And then what's fun is once people get that confidence, once they're like, oh man, I see it. I followed this and this happened and I followed it some more and it happened. And now the confidence is there. They know, and they've also probably derailed a couple of times where, life happens, their blue line just wasn't quite spot on. And again, they can fool you. You can still get good results for a day or two. And then, oh boy, I didn't follow the blue line. I didn't follow the effort. I didn't do my steps. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And I'm still getting results. Yeah, it's a stair step though. It'll stair step the other way. So, yeah.
Eric, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said habits, because all the time I was listening to you, and I love that blue line analogy. But the thing is, it's not about the weight loss being up or down an ounce or a pound or however you're reading it. It's how steady that blue line is what you're doing is you're forming habits. And that's the real story. It's not whether you're up a pound or you're down a pound, but are you establishing that habit, that lifelong habit? And those are, well, I think I was in Lorella says, a non-scalable wins. And every time you do follow the process, and you're deepening that habit to the point where a habit is a chain that binds you in a good way or a bad way. You're just choosing to have it bind you in a good way for the rest of your life. So I love that blue line. Thank you.
Absolutely. And,
Okay, Eric, it's orange dot 69. I know you're all wondering. I looked it up.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Boy, we might have to have a new descriptive term for Kathy now. We've called her the Step Queen Kathy for so long, and now we're going to call her the orange dot savant.
Orange dot savant.
I'm going to do a quick screen share just to kind of anchor that blue line thing. I'll just show you how I mean, it almost looks like a Charlie Brown drawing here, so don't judge me, guys, but I'm going to do a screen share here for those that are watching their screen, and bear in mind I'm on my phone, so this is but I'll show that so that you can kind of, that should be showing up on your screen right now. Okay, so again, not the perfect XY axis. So the rest of the melancholies on this call, don't judge me on my XY axis graph there. But the effort is, over time is that blue line. And even with that dark blue line, you see it's not a perfect straight line. And it's not meant to be. It's a little bit wavy, but directionally, you're staying steady on the process over time. And then the light blue line is what's going down and to the right. That represents, typically the cadence and health point is, 2 to 3 pounds per week during the weight loss phase of the 6-week cycle. That can vary, man, woman, 6'7" versus 5'1", so don't, work with your coach on that, but you're going to have whatever that result typically is, you're going to have that cadence, provided that blue line, that dark blue line stays steady. And then the red X is results short term. So the light blue line is results long term. The red X, which wherein we're working with clients, or when you just think of this yourself as you're working through the 6-week cycles, is we tend to overreact to the red X. That's the short term result, but we've got to have the mindset and the understanding and the discipline to kind of ignore the red X, just stay focused on the dark blue line. And that could be the red X, like I said, even positives, where, you have something that you're excited about despite your efforts. You're getting this great result, but in your heart of hearts, you didn't really follow the process, and you can get excited over that red X. But again, it's predictable, positive or negative. So I just wanted to do that share. So let me bump out of this screen share here and that. And Laurel, we have
Yes.
speaking of following the program, and
Yes.
we've heard some stories, and some last week it was some intriguing stuff with some leg injuries, but tell us more.
Well, yeah, if she's the orange dot savant or the step queen, I could be, not that I want this moniker, but the calamity queen. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, I just did for a short walk. I'm celebrating something new right now as I went for my first outdoor walk. Gosh, almost 4 weeks, because I haven't been able to walk because of all of the wounds on my legs. But anyway, I went through my hand calamity, which is still an issue, but it's better. So I moved on. I peeled the front of my shins off with an accident with the recycle bin, and had big flaps of skin. So I had to go to the wound center for 3 weeks, and they had me wrapped in compression wraps. So no, not a lot of walking and that kind of stuff. So the compression wraps came off yesterday, and I graduated. So now I can take care of myself, and I got compression wraps with Velcro. So I can walk today. Yeah. So even though it wasn't great weather and I didn't want to overdo it, I went out and walked for the first part of our walk and talk. And the good news is, I told Carol, I said, can't wait to get these off and I can find out what my real weight is. Well, who knew that compression wraps could weigh? I mean, I lost 1.5 pounds in one day. And I think 1 pound of it was the compression wraps, because it was so thick, and it was from my toes, covered my toes, my ankles, my heels, all the way up to my knee. So that's off. And I'm like, yeah, I'll give myself credit for 0.5 pound. But even with all that walking, now my weight hasn't gone down a lot, but I did lose about 3 or 4 pounds during that time. The last during no food, add more food weeks, and now this first week. So I'm pleased with that, and I've just stayed on that blue line that you talked about and kept doing that. And I had and then my new calamity was last night. The pipe burst under the sink and the whole bathroom flooded. So, okay, so we're on to something new now. We're done with the legs. So, but I did want to say there was 2 things. One was 2 quotes. And
Oh, you just muted accidentally, Laurel, so you have to unmute yourself.
oh,
There you
I'm
go.
back. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought of when David was talking, I looked up the quote that I just saw the other day from Mike Rowe, who said something like, if you either get good at what you love, or learn to love what you do. And I thought, well, that's a good reminder. And that was reminded me of what he said with his daughter swimming. She loved it. She wasn't good at it, but she loved it. And so that's a good starting point. So anyway, but the other quote I was gonna make, which is the one I use for me, is, and it's a little, you can't use it with people who are maybe struggling a little bit, but for me, it's a good one. And it says, what you're not changing, you're choosing.
Woo,
Mhm.
Yeah, and so
ouch.
I thought, yeah, I know. So I have that on a piece of paper and I look at it when I need it. So anyway,
Wow. What you're not
so
changing, you're choosing.
yes.
That, how have we not all heard that?
Ooh,
Like, well, how's that not been like skywritten across the world? I mean, it seems like such a powerful and obvious quote, and I have never heard that. Boy, I think I heard uh, some supportive, background noise and
Yeah.
people. So I think all of us kind of that got hit. What you're not
Well, you gotta,
changing.
it is, we've heard it in different versions, everything's a choice and and I know in counseling with kids when they'd go, and this is happening, that happens, and Skip Ross gave us that too. You're choosing, you've got exactly what you want, right? And, there's different versions of it, but the fact is everything's a choice and not making a choice is the choice. So
Hmm.
there's no avoiding choosing. You're choosing to do it, you're choosing not to do it, or you're ignoring it, and that's a choice too. So everything's a choice. And I used to say that all the time to the middle school kids. When they go,
Mm,
no, 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 I'd say, well, it's a choice. And so now as I've gotten older, I find I say it to me more than anybody. Laurel, this is
mm,
a choice. You have a choice. And sometimes I choose maybe something that isn't exactly what it should be, but at least I think about it. Pause, think
mhm.
about it, and be aware that I'm making a choice. So anyway, so that was my
Yeah,
quote.
I love that. What you're not changing, you're choosing. Wow. And then the other one's by Mike Rowe. Is this, you're talking Mike Rowe, like the
Yeah,
dirty jock
I
guy?
just
I
saw it
love
now.
Mike
Let
Rowe.
me
Mike
see.
Rowe.
I saved it, but I'm afraid when I turn out, when I try to go to my pictures, I lose you.
Mm, mm.
Let's see. It says, learn to love the thing you are good at or get good at the thing you love.
Yeah, boy, that sounds like Mike Rowe. Um,
Yeah, I just took a screenshot of it when I saw it. I don't know, it was on Facebook or Instagram or something. And I follow him because I like him. And he's always got some positive, uplifting stuff. So anyway, I saw that and so when Dave was talking, I go, oh, that's exactly what Mike Rowe said.
mm,
Okay,
great
I'm done
stuff.
jabbering.
Well, great. We're on pins and needles every week for your stories, Laurel, because they are recently kind of full of some kind of like high drama, and we're happy to hear that
Well, I'm
the
here for your
compression wrap.
entertainment, I guess.
And we heard this morning, I guess, how it happened. I was curious last time. I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds like Laurel really damaged her shins,
Yeah,
and
it was a pretty bloody mess.
up that. My gosh. Well,
And Al just turned around and looked at me. One minute I was fine, and the next minute my shoes were just solid red. And he was like, "What did you do?"
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. But hey,
Well,
I
you
will
stay on the blue line. Just stay on the blue line, you'll be all right.
I
yeah.
will tell you, in all of that, I get these morning messages, and like any one of them would take you down to your knees, and yet Laurel has a way of, oh, they're severe, no question, no question. We're not saying anything that anybody goes through is not severe, but it can be severe and take you down, or it can be severe and make you more resilient and keep you forging ahead, which builds the whole stamina within you. And and what's happening within you as a result of those things is so much more valuable long term. Now you don't feel like it at the time, but long term, it's just like an athlete that has an accident or just forges through or is stuck on a spot, and it's that mental resiliency, and that's what Laurel portrays all the time on these things. Not that we want these things to continue happening,
Yeah,
but
I don't want to do this anymore. This will
no,
be my
we don't want,
last one,
yeah.
hopefully.
We don't want that your identification. That's why I always love to hear her wins, because through it, okay, that's happening. I got to deal with this. But here's the bottom line. I lost 1.5 pounds. You know,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
so this is a good lesson for all of us too.
Awesome. Real great. Well, thanks, Laurel. Thanks for your stories, your amazing example, and looking forward to less drama-rich stories, we'll say, less injury-rich full stories moving forward.
Okay, I'll try.
We wish you all
Hey,
right.
Laurel.
Yeah.
Sorry, but now you're going
Eric.
to have me watch or listen to Rush again. You still have decided you still have made a choice, but I'll listen to Rush one more time.
Nice.
Eric,
Yes.
can I throw in a quick quote?
Yeah,
I
please
said,
do,
you
Hank.
know, life is very interesting, all right? When we go to school, we learn a lesson and then we get tested. But in real life, many times we get tested first so we can learn the lesson.
Ooh, geez, where have these quotes
Wow.
been? That I thought it was a great collector of quotes, and these are two bam bam this morning that I've never.
Now we need another WhatsApp. We got a food one. We
Yeah.
got a orange dot one. We need a quote one. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
When you're
Stop,
down in the
stop.
dump sad. Happen.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, we've done it again. What an amazing time together. Thank you, everyone, for showing up for yourself, showing up for your health, for the good of this amazing community, and for everyone that participated, that contributed, everybody that just kind of absorbed, and everybody's contributing in one way or another. And we will plan on getting together same time, same place next week, next Saturday. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.
Adios,
Bye.
everybody. Have a
Thank you,
great weekend.
everybody.
See you
Bye.
guys.
Bye. Have